Hey, what's happening, guys? Welcome to this beginner's guide for Elden Ring NIGHTREIGN. I think I've said this before many times, but this has been my favorite game of the year since I played the network test back in, I think it was February, until the game released. And then, I have by far the most hours out of any game that came out this year. And that's including Ghost of Yote, which was one of my most anticipated games. But I'm pretty involved with this game still. I mean, played almost every day. Sometimes I don't get to, but I also stay pretty active in the subreddit and the Facebook groups. And I always try to give, when people ask for advice or, help with this or that, I usually try to comment and provide anything that I've learned that's of value. And recently I commented on someone's post asking for, tips for beginners. And I found myself actually coming up with a pretty good list. The post is actually kind of long, so I figured I might as well just make a mini guide. I did have one that I made when the network test was still going on. And, in that video, I said that it was just some basics for people to get familiar with, but it also was probably going to be different once the full game came out, which it is. Actually, there's quite a lot of things that are different, just, even if it's just by virtue of the game being really limited in the network test to what we actually got. But one of the first things, let's get to it. One of the first things that I want to talk about is relics. So here you have your relic rights, which is where you can use the different vessels or goblets, chalices, or urns, grails, whatever you want to call them. And as you can see in the beginning, you won't see the second three on the right, so you only see these three, and then the others you can unlock once you've done Deep of Night, which is the higher difficulty mode that you can access at the bottom here. And I'm not sure when this unlocks for a new character, but I think it's maybe like when the night aspect appears first, which I think is after you kill maybe 3 or 4 night lords, or maybe after you beat him, that's when this shows up, or maybe after you beat an Everdark, or I don't know, I have no idea. Because I had already beaten everything by the time Deep of Night came out. So yeah, in any case, that's when you're going to be able to see these deep relics, which usually, so the ones that I have here have no drawbacks, but there's usually, as you can see in light blue right there, you can see poison buildup when below max HP, and a lot of them have that. But yeah, like I said, this is for beginners. Like the post that I was responding to is someone that's just starting the game. So a lot of the stuff that I'm going to talk about is going to be pretty basic. So if you're already familiar with the game, this might not be the guide for you. But if you're new, then just, let me know if there's anything that I missed at the end. But yeah, so relics are specific. They come in 4 different color configurations, and then depending on the urns or chalices that you have, you can equip those. And there's all these different passives that they give you, and there's class specific ones. So each class has effects that can appear on relics that are only for that class, and then there's all the universal ones, right? And the filter that they added, actually they patched it and it's now way better. And you can sort by, if you're looking for a specific effect, some stuff. And here is the demerits that I was talking about for the deep relics. A lot of times it'll be in places that you're not going to be able to, or not going to intuitively know where to find, but like stuff like related to bows is, you have to go to the bow weapon, not, for example, this HP restoration. Sometimes you might be inclined to think that it would be with restoration, which this is just for like universal restoration as opposed to specific weapon restoration types and stuff like that. So there's some other stuff like, for example, this, max FP up with 3+ sacred seals, and it's in seals, not in actions or environment, right? So once you get the hang of it, you'll be able to navigate this a lot easier. But yeah, going back to the relics, so once you start playing, you're going to get rewards, and they're going to come in the shape of relics and merc. And merc, as you can see, is a currency that I have on the bottom right, and that you can use to buy relics from, or items from the small jar bazaar right here. All the emotes and some relics that are guaranteed you can buy from here. And then you can also gamble. So this gives you access to gambling. I'm not going to do it right now because I don't want to spend them. But it gives you just 10 random relics, and they could be small, medium, or large. And this is for the Deep of Night, same thing. It's more expensive. It's 3 times more expensive. But it gives you access to gambling some of that merc and getting some relics. And a lot of the really good ones that I have came from here. There's also another shop that opens up once you beat a Night Lord, and it's this collector signboard. It's on the outside, so might not be easy to find immediately, but just basically you come out this way from the Roundtable Hold, or from the Roundtable Center, and then you go this way, and then you come around and find this collector board. And this one, it's kind of similar. You also have access to buying a lot of these vessels as well. And every time you beat an Everdark Night Lord for the first time, you can access their relic here, which actually they're better than the regular ones. And then there's some guaranteed relics from here that you can buy. You can also gamble here, but it's 5 Sovereign Sigils, which is what you get for killing 1 Everdark Night Lord. And then you get 1 relic, a guaranteed large relic. Whereas if you gamble in the other shop, it could be a smaller relic or a medium relic. But here, it's always going to be a large. You can also buy cosmetics with Sovereign Sigils here, which I would not recommend, because Sovereign Sigils are the more rare currency as opposed to merc. So you should always have enough to buy all the outfits with merc. I mean, not always, but eventually you'll get enough. So unless you're like in a really, like you want an outfit really bad, then I would not spend my Sovereign Sigils. The first time you beat a Night Lord, and only the first time you beat them, you're going to get 25. Sometimes you get 26 or 27, and I'm not sure what that's dependent on, but the standard amount is 25, and then every time they come up again in the rotation, you are only going to get 5 Sovereign Sigils, but the first time you get 25. And yeah, that's it for this. Oh no. So here you also have the option to give the Cracked Witch's Brooch. And what this does is basically there is a Guardian Relic. It's called the Cracked Witch's Brooch. And this one, there's a choice that you can make when you're doing the Guardian's questline or Remembrance, where you can do one thing or another, and depending on what you choose, you're gonna get the Witch's Brooch or the Cracked Witch's Brooch. And there's no, like, the effects on the relic don't change. It's just the way that the icon looks. It could be cracked or just uncracked, right? So it'll be exactly for all intents and purposes, it'll be the same relic. It's just the way that it looks, the way that the icon is displayed. But that's what that does. So you can spend 1 Sovereign Sigil to make it look like it's not broken, if you wanted to. And then this, once you start fighting, once you beat Gladius, you're going to get your first Shifting Earth, which is basically the map gets an area of it that's different than normal. and there's currently 4 shifting earths, and you can use your sovereign sigils to conjure up one of these. Every time so when you first start the game, as you fight, through the Night Lords, as you beat them one by one, you're gonna get all the different shifting earths for the first time, and it's like scripted. It's always gonna happen in the same order. You get them all, right? But then after that, they become randomized, and it's a very small chance that you're gonna get a shifting earth event. So maybe you'll do 10, 20 runs before you get one. And every time you get one, I believe it'll stay like that for the next 3 or 4 runs. I can't remember. I think it's 3. So you can do the same shifting earth 3 times in a row. And then after that, it goes away. Now, if you don't want to do the shifting earth at all, you can go to the waiting room, and you can come here, and if I had a shifting earth active, it would give me an option to lay down, and basically you sleep it off. So when you wake up, the shifting earth event is gone. And one more thing that I should mention is, you could get to where you need to be by just running there or walking there, like everywhere you need in a Roundtable Hold. But I got used to just warping everywhere really fast. So if I need to go to the shore, just warp there. I need to go to the sparring grounds, I just warp there. So all you have to do on PlayStation, at least, is just your touchpad, and it brings up the menu, and then you can just go anywhere you need to. And I just kind of got used to that because it's much faster. But yeah, let's go back to the relics, right? Oh no, we're going back to the collector's signboard before I move on from there. So, like I said, you can conjure a shifting earth if you wanted to, which could be beneficial, especially like depending on each shifting earth has a reward, a specific reward at the end of it. And so for the crater, you get to upgrade any weapon to legendary. For the mountaintop, you get a buff. You get resistances for frost, so that's good for Caligo, obviously. And then you get a buff for every time you get frostbitten. And for the rotted woods, you get the effect that there's a relic that gives you one effect. That's I don't have it on this build, but it's basically what people call the Bloodborne effect, which is the rally mechanic from Bloodborne, where if you take damage, you can recover some of that health for a brief period of time, for like 3 or 4 seconds, if you do damage fast enough to the enemy. And so that effect is called partial HP restoration post damage in this game. And the Rotted Woods gives you that and a bit of a stat boost as well. And the Nocleteo Shrouded City event gives you a free res for the whole team. So if you complete that shifting earth at the end, you get the free res for the whole team, and it's also a stat boost. So they're all pretty, they have their uses. Obviously, if it's a very difficult Night Lord that you're trying to face, then this would be a lot more valuable because it's a team-wide res, as opposed to just like something that you are going to benefit from, which is like a legendary upgrade or something like that. And then this altered Great Site of Grace is related to, I'm going to say no, but it's related to this. So the Site of Grace here, this is what it looks like in the beginning, and then at some point in the game, so Hellstore, the Night Lord, or the Night Aspect, each of them has like a menu name and then the sort of their name on the HP bar, which is different. So this one says Tricephalus, but when you're actually fighting him, it'll say Gladius, Beast of Night, or whatever. And so that's the case for everyone. And so the Night Aspect's name is Hellstore, the Night Lord. And I think when he first shows up, which is about you know, when you kill 3 or 4 Night Lords, the actual grace right here, what we're seeing right now, will darken, and so instead of being a bright yellow, it becomes this dim bluish light, and that's what that does at the collector signboard. So I think one time I did it on accident. I had the dim version because it's like that's just what happens when you progress through the game to a certain point, and then I hadn't really done anything with it, but I changed it by accident, and so it went back to the original way that it shows up in the beginning. So that's what that is. Now, as far as the relics I was talking about, so in the beginning, when you're doing the tutorial, you're gonna face Morgott, and I didn't do this until later. I didn't beat him the first time, but which is why it's not my first relic on this character. I have another character where I did beat him on the first try, and so the very first relic is the Morgott rune. So that's a way to start the game with at least one relic, and it's actually not terrible for it being the first relic that you have, you know, technically the first relic you have access to, provided that you beat Morgott in the tutorial. But switching, so the effects are switching weapons boost attack power and improve throwing knife damage and vigor +1, which is not really, it's like 20 HP. It's not going to be a big difference. And then the throwing knife damage is also not really going to be super handy. And you're going to find consumables in the game, and one of them is throwing knives. But switching weapons, actually, I think is a pretty good boost. In fact, I can't remember the percentage, but I think it gives you like a 15 damage bonus every time you switch weapons. So, you know, it's good to start the game at least with this relic, your first game. And you could do that. And if, let's say you didn't beat him and you didn't want to go into the first game without a relic, because that's going to be the case for a lot of people, you could do this. You could go to the visual codex, and then you can go to guide, and you can go to where was that? I guess guide? Oh yeah, it's right here. It's the first one. I missed it. So you can replay the tutorial, and at the end you get another shot at beating Morgott, right? So this is a way to get that relic if you wanted it, you know, before your first run. Beyond that, just navigating through the map. One thing that's super helpful, so if you go to the sparring grounds, you have access to all the weapons in the game. You can just equip whatever you need if you want to test things. And then, you know, if you want to equip, specifically test like certain Ashes of War or sorceries or incantations, everything is here. And then the way the consumables work as well. These are the throwing knives that you have access to, like I was talking about. And then you're going to find those randomly in the world. And then this is, I guess, a guide that I've never used before, but it's, yeah, basically just giving you a visual reference for different actions in the game, right? And so there's stuff like, I mean, you can test stuff on these dummies if you want to just see what the damage is that you're doing. One way that you can see when you're messing around with relics and you want to see like, okay, is this actually making any difference? And you can see that right away by looking at, just pulling up your menu from options and then looking at your weapon and seeing the damage you're doing. And if you're switching relics and you're wanting to see like how the damage that you're doing changes, you can do that really quick that way. So you would do something like, let's say, so this one, right, it has improved dagger attack power. So right now it tells me that my dagger AR or attack power is 40. But if I take this off, which is giving me a boost, it's telling me that it's 38 now, right? So you can just equip and unequip relics, and if it affects your main weapon, then you'll see that reflected right there. And so let's see, I wanted to find that relic again. I would just go to dagger attack power, and it would show up right there. So I just equipped it again. And let's see. So let's go back to the sparring grounds. And so one cool thing is that you can also, you have this sparring dummy, and you can animate him by pressing triangle, and it'll show you, I mean, it'll reflect the damage that you're doing with all your buffs, right? So right here I have improved sorceries, use character skill for, so it shows you not only your regular relics, but also the deep relics, if they have any effects, right? So use character skill for brief invulnerability, attack power up for when facing frostbite afflicted enemy, and blah blah blah, sorceries and affinity damage negation, and then whatever else I have on the other ones. This one I have carrion sword sorcery. I have that 2 times, so I'm gonna go ahead and equip that. Carrion slicer on my offhand. Oh, I didn't equip it. All right, so I go here, and then I can start testing things, right? So it'll show you actually like accurate numbers for the damage you're doing. You can test everything. This is actually a really cool feature that you can just come here and test everything that you need if you're trying to get familiar with a new class, right? Or even if you're just curious about what type of damage you're doing with the specific relic setup. Also, I have it turned off here, but if you have your character guide on, it tells you what your passive and your skill and your ultimate, what they do. And you can actually switch things on and off, like the way that your health behaves, your level as well. You can change the way that your stamina behaves, or you can have unlimited ults and skill and whatever. Like there's a lot of things that you can change if you're trying to test something specifically. So this actually is a really, really cool feature. And you can switch classes here. So for example, if I wanted to test how the Recluse's cocktails work, we'll come here, get some, I already have magic, so we want some seals actually. So we only need one of these and one of these to have access to all the affinities, right? So let's say that I want to make Placidusex's lightning rod nuke. I'll just switch over here, and so that I'm absorbing all the elements that I need, and then I can make that cocktail. And it shows me the damage that I'm doing, considering what I have equipped, right? Which this is, it's a full Crystallian build that I have here. So if I wanted to test that, what kind of damage I'm doing with all Crystallian, it would show me right here. Charged, doing 996, 1200. You have to do like that. And this is, like I said, it's a super helpful feature for this, for the purposes of testing everything that your build has going on. Let's go back to the relics. I guess now just go back to expeditions. What else should I say about the Roundtable Hold? I mean, everything is pretty self-explanatory. Visual codex is really cool because you can see stuff like each character and you can see what their stats are. It doesn't give you the actual figures, but it tells you the rating, right? So Wilder has an A rating on HP, C on FP, B stamina, A on strength, B on dex, C intelligence, and faith and arcane. And it tells you basically the strengths for each character. And this, I mean, if you wanted a visual reference to all the equipment, the guide is cool because, yeah, if you're wanting to know specifically about certain mechanics, everything is right there. Well, I should go over that in a little bit, but so the handbook is, no, actually the result history is really cool because it saves the last 100 matches that you've done. And so it gives you really specific results. So if you go into one, it'll show you the gear that you had on. You can see that. You can see the routing that you took, like where you arrived and which way you went and where you got specific items. You know, it'll show you like when you were downed or when you revived an ally and stuff like that. And it gives you this timeline of your run, which is pretty cool. You can also press R3 to go into specific player, and let's see if you wanted to see their profile, you can do it right here. If you see someone cheating, you know, unfortunately there's a lot of people cheating the relics with I think it's done with the save editor, and I think it can only be done on PS4, but you would see, and you could go here and block them. If you're wanting to report them as well, you would hold R3, and then here you could say, you know, the reason you're trying to report them: cheating, bug exploitation, unattended games, harassment, stalking, threats, basically are the categories, and then you can report them from this menu, which I think does help. And like I said, you can always block them from here. So yeah, super handy feature in this menu for the guide. I think I was going to, yeah, it's not really displaying the way. So you can see all the icons right here, which is helpful. But I was going to go into a match to show you guys in a little bit. But as far as what else is here, the journal is where you're going to start your remembrances. You know, obviously I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but you basically, after you've defeated 1 or 2 Night Lords, and depending on the character you're playing, you want to come here to the journal. Then you open the journal, and then a lot of times it'll give you an option to begin remembrance, and then you have to go to specific parts of the Roundtable Hold. You'll see if you're required to talk to any specific characters, it'll have like a yellow exclamation mark next to them, and that's showing you where you have to go. Sometimes you have to look for something that's not marked, but it'll tell you briefly, like let's say that there's a couple of remembrances where you have to find a specific thing, like in the Roundtable Hold. So if you come to the journal, it'll tell you on the top right, find this item in this part of the Roundtable Hold. And so all you have to do is go there. Like there's one where you have to come here. I can't remember which one it is, but you have to come here and look for something over here. So it'll tell you, even if it doesn't show you the exclamation mark, it'll tell you like, go here to find this item. And then let's say that it maybe you're required to look at one of these books or something. It's usually pretty easy if you look at that journal. And then sometimes you'll see that to keep progressing your remembrance, you have to, you won't have like a next, like an option to keep, you know, progressing the remembrance. So you'll just have to kill another Night Lord and then come back, and then it'll give you the option to continue the remembrance. So that's all you have to do when that happens. This is the menu to change garb, which is, you know, you'll see that some of these, so this one is the default one. You can buy these with currency, all of these, and they all have different prices. The Dawn one is usually the cheaper one from the standard ones, and then the Darkness one is usually the more expensive one. And the Remembrance one you get for free when you finish the character's Remembrance. And sometimes there'll be small changes, like this one. It's just her hairdo. You know, it's the same outfit, but she has like a ponytail here, and then she has a braid here. So it'll be smaller changes. The Wilder is like super, it's like you almost can't notice it. It's like he has that little brooch thingy on his chest, and then the regular one doesn't. But yeah, that's it. And then these are usually, the last two are like Dark Souls themed skins, and so these are the cheapest ones that you can get, and you can only access these after defeating the Night Lord, so the last boss, Hellstore. It's kind of confusing because they call them the Night Lords, but then the last boss is just the Night Lord. But they're all Night Lords, I guess. So yeah, that's that. Yeah. Oh, one cool thing here I should mention is a cool little interaction that happens. So if you come to this, which is like the Hall of Victors or whatever, if you come to this part of the Roundtable Hold, you're going to find these sort of hologram looking things, and it's called the Victor's Record. And if you touch it, or if you interact with it, it'll show you like a player who was able to defeat a Night Lord, and it'll show you which Night Lord it is. It'll show their layout. And sometimes you'll see that they have like, they rise up a little bit, so it won't just be this the lettering or whatever that is on the ground, but it's like a cone shape that rises up, and that means that someone beat a Night Lord with an item that your corpse that you left behind, and someone found your corpse, and then they picked up one of your weapons, and they defeated the Night Lord with that item. And so it gives you actually 1,000 merc if you come and interact with that. And so it's kind of a cool little interaction. So yeah, whenever you die, you drop. So there's a chance that your character is going to drop all of their gear, and the way that you see that is like a red. It's just like a kneeling. If you're playing Duchess, it'll be like a kneeling Duchess, and then if you interact with them, basically they'll just drop all the loot that they had when they died, and then you can just pick it up. And a lot of times it'll be like really useful stuff like Stone Sword keys or Winding Graces, or really cool weapons or talismans or consumables. So yeah, it's always really cool when that happens. And I usually try, if I find someone's corpse, I usually try to keep the weapon so I can kill the Night Lord, and then they get some kind of, I feel like I've gotten some kind of satisfaction from seeing that when that did happen. Let's see, when was the last time I did that? So anyway, that's a good 5 minutes wasted of your time. But that is, I think, enough for the Roundtable Hold. I don't think that there's a lot more to explain here. So let's go take a look at some basic stuff from the map. So let's do my favorite, Dark Drift Night. So always skip, because after a while you've seen that cutscene way too many times, so it's just kind of... Yeah, okay, so you can see everyone's... If I was playing with people, I could see right below me, I could see what their relics are. So that way you can kind of... It's nice to prioritize what they have going on. So if they get like a good drop, if you get like a good drop that's not, or a drop that's not good for you, but it's good for their build, it's always nice to do that, and it helps the whole team. You have to think of playing this game as what benefits the team and not just you. So a lot of times you kind of have to forego getting a reward for yourself because you could get something way better for your teammate, and so ultimately that's just gonna improve your chances of winning, hopefully, as opposed to wasting 40 minutes of playing a game because you picked something that was whatever for you, but it could have been a great drop for a teammate. So this is actually a really cool first location to be dropped at. First thing you want to do is, as you're descending, you want to see where the churches are so that you can get your heals. I think, let's see. So yeah, they're usually spread apart, and it's usually really annoying because you have to go to each corner of the map to get the churches. But you kind of usually at least try to get one right away, the one that's closest, and then the other two, hopefully you'll get to them as your party moves to the different points of interest depending on what you need. But what I wanted to show in this, whenever you see this specific starting camp, you always want to clear it first. Like whenever you're dropped off, the only exception is sometimes you'll be dropped off at a church, and there's always going to be 2 rats, so it's not going to be enough for you to level up once. So as you can see, I have 5,800 runes, and I could go level up at that grace right there. You can see that light kind of shining up to the sky, and that's how you can see where the graces are. And so you want to go level up immediately because that's going to double your HP roughly. And so this is a really cool starting camp to be dropped off at, because it's a guaranteed stone sword key right here from this chest. And they usually have really good consumables like uplifting aromatic and stuff like that. So this one has poison spray mist. But yeah, it'll have perfuming items usually in the like little corner with the crates. Here, there we go. Uplifting aromatic, which is great. And you can buff your entire party. I usually save these for so the day 3 boss, the Night Lord. I save them so that I can, buff my entire party as soon as we spawn. And so this one is cool as well because let's actually go level up first. And this is cool. This specific location is cool because it has the seal shack. So whenever you see these shacks, they have seals, which is good for recluse or, it's really good seals actually. Recluse or Revenant. These, they usually, especially Revenant, I feel like usually prioritizes these seal shacks. So as you can see, I leveled up to 2, and that roughly gave me twice my HP. So there's an Evergel. I'm running an Evergel relic right now. It's my second relic, attack power increase for each Evergel prisoner defeated. And it's a very popular relic to run. Usually you want to at least be level 2, 3 at least, I would say. But it's not uncommon for people to hit them at a different point, either early or whatever. Anyway, so open this, see what it is. So this is there's specific bosses that are like really strong. And this is not a great Evergel to do at level 2. because he's probably going to one-shot me as soon as he touches me. But if you manage to kill him, you get, oof, yep, that's rough. But no, I don't want to do that. Oh, he's doing that, super annoying, thank you. So this is not, like I said, not great doing this at level 2. He's very tricky. And one cool thing about doing this, sometimes you want to, oh, he's going to kill me for sure. Sometimes you want to do these on the rain. The rain is coming. Yeah. Is the rain? Yeah, the rain's coming. So we're not going to do this because we're going to die if we do with the rain coming. As you can see, the circle has started to close. So that would have been cool though if the circle had closed to where that Everjail was inside, then I could have finished it, and that could have given me levels to get to, I don't know, maybe level 5, 6, 7 even, which, okay, so this is another thing. So these camps have the vendors. There's one kind that has a vendor outside like this, and there's one kind that has it actually inside the camp. So it's always useful to come check it out, especially when you're soloing, because you want to grab maybe like a smithing stone 1. The forts also have them, and these sorcerer's rises are really good for recluse and duchess, anybody that's like a caster class, and also for revenant because they have starlight shards, which are super, I mean, revenant kind of relies on them for damage. These forts are cool because you can get staves, you know, which are good for duchess or recluse. You can get them in this little room right here. I didn't even see what they had, but they're also cool because they'll have this chest, and the chest usually, not this time, but sometimes has, most of the time, it has a stone sword key. And so there's this other secret chest. Oh my god, it's not climbing up. This one sometimes has the stone sword key or some good stuff as well. And I think I'm gonna die. Maybe I'll get out of this. And so the fort, as I was saying, also has merchants. And they're usually right over here outside. Oh my god, I almost died. So he's right there. I'm not gonna go closer because I have 0 heals right now. And so the castle is always gonna be in the middle of the map. And usually what you wanna do is go through this ravine into the basement and then clear the boss. Once you clear the boss in the basement, it'll open the path to a talisman in a chest. And then you can finish, you know, you can keep either clearing the castle or go somewhere else. And at the top, there's always a boss. So right now we can see from a distance, and it's usually something kind of nasty. So right now we can see that there's a deathrite bird right up there at the top. But usually it'll drop like a purple item or like a really good passive buff. And sometimes this little structure has a scarab at the top. Yeah, there we go. And so scarabs is the way that you're going to find talismans. It's aside from that one chest in the castle. Oh, he's being a little... Okay. So you kill them and then you get a talisman. I didn't get anything that was crazy good for me, but it's okay. And so the map also marks the Spirit Spring. Or Spirit Stream, I should say. And those you can use this pretty much the same way you use them with, except you don't have to have torrent in this game like you do. Let's clear some enemies here. So that we can level up a little bit more. So by the time you get to 8k, you can start leveling up to 3. Oh, successive attacks is really good for Duchess. Lady, get out of my face, please. Landing attacks, magic attack power. Yeah, we don't need that. Okay, so there's the different points of interest are the forts, the camps, and then you'll see that some of them will have an affinity icon right there. So this is magic, this is deathlight, and we can see right there that there's a warm face, which is, you know, the enemies that have that deathlight thing going on. This is frost, this is holy, fire, and I don't think we have a sleep. So the different affinities tell you the type of damage that the enemies do there, but it also tells you the type of rewards that you can find or random loot that you can find in either crates or chests, and it shows you like also the ever jails. And these are entrances to mines. So this is the entrance, and this is the way this is the way out. And this is another entrance, and then the way out, and then over here entrance, and then the way out, right? Oh, and this is really cool. So whenever you see this little township thingy, that means that there's a special vendor in that, and he usually has an extra wending grace, which is an item that you can use for a free res, and he also has like a separate inventory. And one cool thing is if you're fighting a Night Lord and you don't get the specific affinity that you need for that Night Lord, which can happen, then you can go to the merchant, either the regular merchant or this special one, and a lot of times they'll have a weapon with that affinity. It might not be the weapon that your class favors, but it's better than nothing, because having a weapon with the affinity for the Night Lord is usually, it makes the fight much easier. So it's, like I said, it's just better than nothing, to be honest. And everything is pretty much like set in the same locations. Oh, he's being a prick. Oh, I didn't want that. Forgot to two-hand. All right, we got at least one more level here. And then the grace. And then as you play the game, you're gonna start memorizing locations for different things. Like there's usually a scarab over here, and this little. He's not here today, but usually there's one there, or there could be one on the other side of the structure. Yeah, there he is. So that's kind of comes in handy, knowing where these guys are, because, you know, sometimes it could be a really good thing like that just now. It's really good for Duchess. And I'm going to try to clear this with my like starting weapon. So a good thing to do over here is this is the variant of the fort, and the merchant is right there below those arches. I can't reach him now because he's in the rain now, but you can buy a smithing stone 1. Usually if there's a mine close by, I'll try to go to the mine and see if I can find like a free one, which that unique mines are just like, you get like a higher chance of finding a mine. I mean, a free smithing stone 1. There's an enemy that's guaranteed to drop a smithing stone 2 in all the mines. They're different in each mine. So the most like western one, it's like a soldier of Godric or something. It's like a commander with a great shield, and I have to concentrate a little bit here. No. Why are you the way that you are? Okay, it's gonna be Gaping Dragon. So you can tell which enemy you're fighting depending, oh no, Centipede Demon, sorry. Depending on the mob enemies that you get in the beginning. So I forgot that this was the hands were, oh my god, I don't want to do this. I keep having to two-hand in one hand at the same time. And so you get one free res, like I said before, and you can see that it's active for me because of, ouch. Right next to, like below my stamina, you can see that I have, there's the flasks, which right now I'm at 0. And then there's a little grace icon, it's like blue and yellow. And that shows that I have my free res active. So I'm trying to beat this guy at level 4, which is suboptimal because I spent most of day 1 just going over things with you guys, but ideally I would be at least level 5 by the time I'm facing the Night 1 boss. Ouch! I did not expect him to move that way. And he's like a super easy boss, but level 4 with a unupgraded weapon is kind of rough. So you just have to play it safe. And I have no heals, of course, so that doesn't help. But yeah, he's usually pretty easy. Ow. Yeah. Except he caught me casting, so that sucks. Use my free res. So this one only resets once you've rested at a grace. I'm not trying to hit the little guy. Oh, I guess that does it. Anyway, so that's that. And then you get, so usually you don't get weapons, but you get passives from these end of day bosses. So sometimes you'll get stuff that's not really relevant to you, like guard counters for me is not relevant. Increased damage after crit is good, and sudden enemy death upon attacks that land sounds good, but it doesn't really activate as much as you would want. So yeah, we're gonna take the increased damage, and that's basically the you get the same debuff that it's like visually it looks like the ancient horn or whatever that's called, that does this like kind of green blue mist, and that's what that looks like. It'll debuff enemies for like a few, maybe like 30 or 60 seconds, I can't remember. So right here, you can see that day 2 will reveal like more difficult field bosses. And you can tell because the regular icon is like this. It's just, they don't have the red, it's just white eyes. And then the sort of more elite versions, or not elite, but you know, they're tougher, they do more damage, they have more HP. They have the red eyes. And so I'm going to show you guys what I was saying with the merchant that's down here. So you can come here, and usually, you know, it's really good when he has the uplifting aromatic. I usually try to buy both of them. So, you know, for myself or for my party, you basically get more damage, 10% more damage if I remember correctly, and then you can take a free hit and not take hardly any damage. And usually he'll have a weapon with one of each like affinity. So who am I fighting? I'm fighting Fulgor. So for example, I should prioritize hitting this. I should have gone to, I wasn't paying attention, but this is my one. So Fulgor is weak to lightning, and you can see that from the menu when you're picking which Night Lord you're gonna face. So I should have because I spawned right here, I should have prioritized clearing this camp for lightning weapons. But since I didn't, I'm not going to do it now, but that's what I would have done if I wasn't doing this video. So if you don't, sometimes you won't get a camp or a point of interest with the affinity that you need, but he will usually have something. So right here, he's selling a Godskin Stitcher with lightning. And so worst comes to worst, you can always do that. I usually try to buy, if I can't find a mine close by, I'll buy a smithing stone 1 from him. It's pretty cheap. And if I have the money later on, I will come back and buy a small pouch and then the Wending Grace from him. And let's show you guys something real quick here. Whoops. Okay, so this is the second variation of the fort. It'll look the same, like the icon for this is the same one that we saw over here, but that one is different. And this one, this is where the stone sword key usually is. There we go. And so there's also, and usually this one is either mages or like just soldiers, right? And when it's mages, it has a Crystallion and a mage right there. Both of them are the boss. And when it's soldiers, it'll have a golem right here, over there. This prick. So I'm not gonna beat this. And these guys usually don't give you passives, but when you beat them, they'll give you a weapon. And so right here, this Shattering Crystal is good. I didn't even see what the Stone Stars. This one is good, for example. Okay, so one thing I should have mentioned, whenever you get weapons like this, you see that it has a little weapon. I mean, a little hand icon, and it's red right now. And it's because you have to have that weapon equipped on either of your hands for the effect to happen. So if I want to get this FP restoration upon landing attacks, I need to have it equipped, and then it'll switch to white, and that means that you're getting the effect. Otherwise, when you're using a different weapon, you won't get the effect. So these two, I probably want to grab. Okay, so I do have a lightning weapon. Never mind, for Fulgor, which is this gravel stone thing. You know what? We'll take this Shattering Crystal. And one other cool thing here is you can come here and pick up a local clue, and that'll basically show you, like, it'll reveal things like treasure. So if you come here, you'll find treasure in that part of the map, and then different other things like scarabs, right? So right here, you can see there's a scarab, so it'll just reveal random things. Let's go to the special merchant, actually, real quick, so you guys can see. So it'll be this little township, and it'll have a smithing table, and he has a separate Wending Grace from the other one, and he actually sells the smithing stone too. So if you can't, if you didn't have time to go to the mine, it'll be cool to it could come in handy, come in here, and then he has a separate pouch, so you can have up to 6. You can also have more if your relics have more. You can have up to 8, so you can equip 2 relics with 2 pouches, and then buy 2 if you get both of the merchants. This is kind of a cool item. Some stuff like the other merchant will have limited amounts of, and he has unlimited amount of these items. So you can buy as many Starlight Shards as you want, and stuff like this. The Dragon Wound Grease is helpful for stuff like if you're fighting. Obviously, Caligo is a dragon, but Gaping Joe or Adele, he's also a dragon. And one cool thing that I learned is that if you have Dragon Wound Grease and he grabs a teammate, you can infuse your weapon. You can use the Dragon Wound Grease on your weapon and hit him when he's like chewing on your teammate, and he will immediately drop them. So that's a cool thing to know. You know, if you're fighting dragon-like enemies, if you get this merchant, it's nice to come here to get this. And he always has these 3 talismans, which are actually quite nice. And like as you can see, he has a different inventory. So he's got something really good, which is Lusats for Duchess. If I had the money, I would totally buy it. And so that's one more thing to consider, I guess. Let's see what else. So maybe that is chariots. No, it's Radon soldiers. So that is the variant. Yeah, it's a variant of the camp that has the merchant outside. I was trying to see if if I could show you guys the other variant that has the camp inside, but we can see the merchant is right there. You can see the fire. Oh, and that's the Draconian Tree Sentinel. We don't want to aggro him. These crates always have things in them. So one cool thing here, for example, is, you know, if you get a Warm Face Day 1 boss, these Boluses, you can get them in each church. Usually they'll have at least one type. Oh, and there's always scarabs in the lake. There's like a bunch of them in different parts of the lake, so that's kind of cool. That's a good one. And so they, unlike in Elden Ring, which Boluses only give you a temporary resistance, or they cure the specific ailment, and temporary resistance, here in NIGHTREIGN, it's for the whole match. So if you're fighting Libra, for example, you can come, there's like a couple of Madness Towers. There's this one over here, and there's this other one over here. And there's these Madness guys, and sometimes they'll drop Madness Boluses. So you can just eat them, and then you'll have, you can see right here, Madness Resistance +1. So it means that I have 2, and if I keep, see if I get lucky again, if I keep eating them, then I'll get my resistance to be higher. So Madness Resistance +2. So that's a cool thing to keep in mind for that instance. What else is useful here? So this is, if you come to the castle, this is usually where you're wanting to go. And there's a merchant right there. You can't see him. You can kind of see the smokestack where he is. And there's another one on this other side of this. You see this kind of structure to the right. On the other side, there's another merchant, like right here. Yep. And so usually people will come to the basement and see who's the boss. We might take him on at level 2. Why not? I mean, at level 6. Why not? Do I have? Actually, I'm gonna do some menuing here. Yeah. My Shattering Crystal is here, so I'm gonna do some shotgun. Ow, that hurt. Don't kill me, please. He is tough, although he's dying easy enough. Ow, I did not want to do that. He almost got me. You gotta be careful, because every time he's about to die, he'll do some BS. Okay, so usually they drop a purple thing. None of this is good for me. So this is an instance where, like, if you had an Iron Eye, you would want to drop this for them and ping it. And this is the castle that you want to kind of avoid, which is the Troll Castle. I'm going to show you guys that. I saw them earlier, but usually they give less runes, and they're kind of a pain in the ass to fight. So, yeah. So actually none of these is good for me. You could drop this for Revenant if you had a Revenant in the party and ping it. But yeah. So the trolls you have to come from the other side as opposed to where I just came from right now. Because otherwise they'll aggro. All of them will aggro, and then it's kind of a nightmare to try and fight them. But as you can see, like that one right there, they're super aggressive, and that one's already like attacking me with the pot. They basically are positioned in a way that there's always one attacking you. So like if you're attacking that one, then that one will be throwing pots at you. It's super annoying. They're very accurate. And then if you're attacking this one, oof, I dove right into that one. That's my bad. Then that one over there will be attacking you. And then if you're attacking that one, there's another one that will be attacking you. So they're just kind of a nightmare to fight this castle. So usually you would want to prioritize when there's Crucible Knights first, because that's the most runes. And then when there's, oof, I gotta grab this Grace because I don't have anything else. I doubt that I'm gonna survive this Night Lord, whoever it is. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. It'll be very tricky if I make it out of here. If I even make it out. Yeah, because the rain will start doing more damage. Did I go the wrong way? Yeah, I think I did go the wrong way. Yeah, it's by the lake. So I don't think that I'm going to make it even to the lake. Oh, and by the way, these little bushes, you can interact with them to get some health back. There's another one over here. You can maybe hit up. But yeah, I'm probably going to die before I get to the safe area in the circle. So one thing you could do as well. Yeah. So this is... I didn't get to do that because I healed too late. But you could... Basically, if this happens to you, you could heal right as you're about to get to the circle and just die on purpose. And then that way you'll respawn inside the circle, but with all your heals again. So I'm actually going to go grab my runes if I can and try to do that. So I have all my heals. I won't have my, oh my God, this guy. And that is like, they will, and that's another thing. The game will force you to walk because it'll think that you're fighting already because the boss has already spawned. Like right now I'm running and it's forcing me to walk. And this is actually the worst day 2 boss to get. Oh, and I'm using my Winding Graze now, or my free res, because the boss already activated, but I don't think I'm gonna beat this guy because I have no heals. So let's just, I guess, die to him. Is there anything else that I could show you guys? I don't think so. So the rises, I wish I could have shown you guys, but the rises have these puzzles that you have to solve, kind of like in the main game, where you can, they're the same, so once you know them all, you kind of know what to look for. But yeah, that's how you get access to them. It's, I'm sure you can find a guide for them. And I wish I could have shown you the different enemies in each mine. So this mine has like I said, a Soldier of Godric or something. This one is the easiest one, is the best one. The entrance is here and here. And it has a pumpkin head, who's really easy to kill. And then this one has a troll. And that's sort of like the second best to get. The best one is the pumpkin head. And then the Soldier of Godric is kind of annoying to just the area where you have to fight him is kind of annoying. So yeah, if you take too long, you'll get both bosses. But one cool thing that could happen is they can actually damage each other. So he can end up killing the other boss for you. But yeah, we're not sure what we're doing right now. Because, yeah, so you can see he hit that beast man. Oh, I kind of hope he kills this other dragon. Come on, kill him for me. Kill him for me, my minion. Try to hit me. but hit him. Oh yeah, so he killed me. But killed him too. No, or I guess at least Stance broke him. So yeah, I used my Wending Grace and my... Yeah, I guess I didn't... Yeah, I didn't get to show you guys the boss, but yeah, that's a run, and you'll get, depending on how far you got, you'll get some Merc and some relics. And you can, what's cool here is you can, as of one of the latest patches, you can just sell from this menu with R3, or if you sold something really fast, just, you know, muscle memory, and you actually didn't want to sell it, you can press triangle and reset, and then, you know, you'll get your relic back if you didn't mean to sell it. But if you did, you can just go from here, and that'll be it. So yeah, that's about as many things as I can think of as far as, you know, a beginner's guide. Let me know if you guys found it useful in comments, and I will catch you on the next one.